Hello, everybody, and a big win for the Canadians today. They get the 3-2 win in the shootout against the Winnipeg Jets. And oh boy, that was, for better or worse, that was a great game all the way around. I mean, not all of it was, definitely on the side of the Canadians there, but that was a very, very exciting game. It got my heart pumping for sure, which cannot be said about some of the games we played as of late, either by winning pretty solidly or by just being terrible, but this one was a very back and forth contest, a very intense game, and a very fitting game to be Andrei Markov's, homage, his getting his recognition from the Canadians. So it was very fitting that he got to have such a great game like this be the game for him. So yeah, a great game all around, but. Again, like the Canadians can still be better. I mean, like they won this game by the skin of their teeth, I'll say. But like obviously there's some interesting things going on all over the place that the Canadians can definitely shore up on to make themselves a little bit better. But a win is a win. I'm certainly not going to complain about that, especially when it puts us back in second place in the Atlantic Division. Obviously, with the way that with the East as a whole looks right now, like literally anytime anybody else in the East or the Atlantic Division for that matter wins a game, like we're gonna get sent back down, and then when we win, we go back up. Like it's so tight right now. So we got to keep winning. We got to keep being consistent and playing good hockey. So, but yeah, for this game, a pretty solid first period overall. Not a whole lot of goal scoring, but a lot of solid chances for the Canadians that they just weren't able to capitalize on. Eric Comrie played an absolutely unbelievable game. He looked like Connor Hellebuck out there for a good while of that game, and pretty much the whole game he was very, very solid. But yeah, like a lot of chances that just didn't quite go our way. Obviously the Jets had some chances as well that Dobeš was very solid on. Dobeš had maybe the best game of his career tonight, in my opinion. Obviously he's gotten some shutouts in the past and all that kind of stuff, but or at least the best game of his of the season for him. I just thought that he was very, very solid when he needed to be, and I think in a lot of ways that might be the first game we've had all season long where it looked like our goalie was behind us tonight. Like I think definitely cannot be said yesterday with Montembeau. I'm not going to blame him for everything and all that kind of stuff as we've been talking about, but he definitely did not look like he was very solid back there. But this is maybe the first game I've seen our a goalie for the Canadians this season be very solid and responsible back there. And obviously not perfect. There's some shaky moments obviously, but he made the saves that we needed to have saved, and that's the reason why we won this game. So he's my first star in my book. But anyway, he gets scored on though at the end of the first period. It's mostly just defensive errors. Just we're not playing, we're not getting the puck in deep, and then I think it was Dobson who tried to poke the puck away, and he just missed the poke check and got beat. And then we had both Matheson and Dobson try to go after one guy, which left Scheifele wide open in the slot, and he's not going to miss from there. So that was an unfortunate one, and definitely an unfortunate way to end that a pretty solid first period for the Canadians, but just some defensive errors there. I didn't think that Dobson or Matheson had a very solid game at all today. That they were both a little bit shaky defensively, but I can't complain too much. But I wasn't super thrilled with the way that all looked. But then going into the second period, we got ourselves a power play and a power play goal. Which is somewhat rare this season on home ice, but we got one, and nice movement all the way around. I think the power play looked a lot better in today's game than it has in the past. And if you didn't notice, Demonov back on the power play, and all of a sudden we're scoring goals again. So it's good to see Ivan Demonov be back on that first power play unit. It's possible that like the media bullied Martin St. Louis into making that decision, but I think it was successful. I think Demonov had a great game today as well. But Slavkovsky is definitely in my 3-star conversation as well. He played very, very good tonight. He was like both defensively, offensively. He was very, very solid. And he gets this goal here. Was a nice just the one timer from a pass from Caulfield. Obviously Suzuki getting a little cheeky point in there as well. This is 23rd assist of the year. Cole's 15th assist of the year, and then Slavkovsky's 9th goal of the season. It was a nice, one-timer, finds the far corner. So a very, very quick power play goal as well. And that's what we love to see. That's something we really need to see more of. And I love the fact that Demidov back on that power play unit. He doesn't get an assist on that really, but that's great. And the second thing is that Slavkovsky is back in that net front position. I think that's something that we've been sorely missing over the past few games when we've changed that up. It has not been going very well. I love to see him back in that slot position because that's where his wheelhouse is. And obviously we saw it on this one. He got that nice one-timer, one knee one-timer into the top right corner, but also when it goes up to the point, he can screen the goalie. And there's not very many people in the NHL that are taller than Uri Slavkovsky, including Comrie, I think. But either way, he's in front of the net, he's screening, he's making those plays, he can tip shots, and obviously he can score on one-timers from the bumper position. So I love to see him back there, and obviously he gets rewarded for being in that position. Martin St. Louis gets rewarded for making that power play shift, and it ties it up. But then obviously, 2 minutes later, Kyle Connor gets one off of a pretty interesting turn of events there. It was basically like a 2-minute shift of the puck was not being covered by Dobeš, but it was in a pile of 8 different bodies out front of the net. And credit to the refs, it didn't really work out in their favor, but credit to the refs for not blowing the whistle there. I feel like it was definitely loose, so it was the right call to not blow that whistle, even though it didn't work in our favor. But and then that led to a stick being broken and Slavkovsky giving Matheson the stick, and then Matheson I feel like broke 3 sticks today, so that's unfortunate. But and then Slavkovsky, you could argue, and I think they argued in the panel whether or not he should have just gotten off the ice or gotten a stick from the bench and come back or whatever. But I don't know, especially in that second period when it's the far change and you're trying to get play some defense. You don't want to give them a 5-on-4 unnecessarily. I think maybe in hindsight you might have wanted him to get off just because it'd be better to have a guy with a stick. But for what he did, he was killing it. He was going all over the place, playing body. He basically pushed, I think it was Morrissey, had the puck and pushed him all the way out of the zone to the red line, and then laid a huge hit on him right after that. But unfortunately, none of that was good enough to get the puck out of the zone. Nobody else was able to capitalize off of that effort from Slavkovsky, and eventually Kyle Connor was able to bury on the shot there. And it was a good shot right off the post. So an unfortunate event there. Unfortunately, we just weren't able to clear the zone. But yeah, that's the way it goes. But obviously, that's just the way it goes. Those are all really solid players there, so it's hard to play against those guys 5-on-5 with 5 guys with sticks. Never mind, having one guy running around with just his hands. So we did the best we could there. But Oliver Kapanen and Ivan Demidov bail us out pretty much 3 minutes later or whatever. A really nice play from Ivan Demidov. He's able to get into the zone, and he does something that I think a lot of forwards don't do, especially on our team. He's accepting the hit there. He's playing against Morrissey there, which is one of the best defensemen in the league, in my opinion, anyway. He's playing against him, and instead of kind of rolling off the hit and trying not to get hit and just letting Morrissey get the puck, he establishes body position. He gets himself in between Morrissey and the puck, and he takes part of the hit, but he's able to roll off of it and still maintains possession. And then he's able to make that pass over to Kapanen, who buries, a really nice, one-timer shot. And those one-timers seem to be the only things that we're going to be beating Eric Comrie tonight. He was incredible in this one. But a really nice play from Demidov and Kapanen. And Kapanen with that goal, it's his 8th goal of the season. That puts him, as of right now, tied for the league lead in goals among rookies. So that's pretty impressive. I definitely would not have considered Oliver Kapanen to be in any sort of Calder conversation, and I don't think he will be when it's all said and done. But even still, it's really impressive for him to be in that position right now. Demidov got his 14th assist on that one too. Obviously, putting him, I think Demidov, I'm not sure what the leaderboards are right now, but he's got to be up there close to number 1 in rookie points right now. So it's good to see the two of them kind of making things happen there. Texier gets a real cheeky assist on that one because all he did was dump the puck in the zone and get off the ice, and he got himself I think his second point as a Canadian there. So overall, I like that line there too that they had. It was Kapanen, Demidov, and Texier. I'm not sure Texier really works long term. I feel like once we start to get some of our guys back, he's gonna head back towards the press boxes. But for what it's worth, I feel like he's got some skill. He was able to make some simple plays, and I think that worked well for that line. It'll be interesting to see if they keep it that way or not. Another change, speaking of lines, is that they put Slavkovsky back up with Suzuki and Cole. So I like that. I feel like, as cool as it was to have Demidov and Slavkovsky playing together, I think Slav just really works the best on that top line. And I think that Cole and Nick were really missing his presence on their line. I think for as much as you can talk shit about Slavkovsky and the production that he has as a player, as a first overall pick or whatever, he really brings a lot to that line and he makes those guys better. So I like to see that they're putting that line back together. I think that'll be helpful down the line there. So but it's definitely some interesting some lineup changes. We'll have to see how those stick over time. But so that's how it went, and then we were at 2-2 at that point, and then the entire third period went goalless, but lots of chances both ways. I mean, Cole Caulfield near the end of the third period had like two back-to-back shifts with like really solid chances. Slavkovsky continued to play really well. He found Cole right out in front, and a really nice save was made by Comrie there on a one-timer opportunity. And then Dobson found Caulfield like a shift later, but it was kind of in his skates, so he didn't really have the one-timer ability. So he was forced to try to just take a shot under the shoulder, and didn't really work out for him. But some great chances for a lot of players. But unfortunately, that it ends up going to overtime, which is good. Good to get points, obviously. And then the overtime was absolutely electric, going both ways. I felt like Canadians really dominated that overtime frame. Dobeš had to make one really solid save near the end of it. He made a nice toe save coming across late, but I feel like Montreal had the majority of the chances there. Just a little bit too much passing, not being opportunistic, and that's just the way it goes sometimes in overtime. But Demidov had like a really solid chance early that he took the shot on, and Comrie made a really nice save. And then later on, they had a 3-on-1 opportunity, and they just had too many passes. I would love to see just a shot being taken. I feel like not like Demidov, when he got the puck, he was a little bit too low to take the shot, but I would love to just see like one pass and then shoot it and then try to dig at a rebound or something like that. Like, you want to be able to, at least get a shot on net in a situation like that in overtime. But I get the idea, so I'm not going to blame him too much on that, obviously. But yeah, like a lot of great chances. Cole had some chances. Suzuki had a chance. Texier, I think, had a chance at one point. They put Joe Veleno out on the overtime period like 2 different times, which just absolutely baffled me. Like, literally, as soon as we lost the possession of the opening faceoff, they put Joe Veleno out in overtime, and I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, no shade, but Joe Veleno would not even be in consideration for me as a guy that should be going out in an overtime game like that when you're desperate for another point. Like, I just don't understand. Like I understand like trying to put like a defensive forward out there, but then like put Jake Evans out there, or put somebody who's got a little bit of something going on right now. Not to say that Jake Evans has a lot of going on right now, but I just didn't really understand that. Especially like if we were to break up the ice playing offense, then you got Joe Veleno that you got to worry about. If he's going to be able to contribute offensively. I don't really understand that call there, but either way, it was a very, very entertaining overtime. Both goalies making huge saves and lots of opportunities. Very entertaining game. Then we went to the shootout, and Cole Caulfield, the only scorer on that shootout. He just kind of the same move every single time, and I always kind of cringe when I see it happening because lately he has not been very solid at scoring on those opportunities. He kind of just curls up one side or the other, usually the right side, does a couple stick handles, and then tries to put a quick snapshot along the ice to beat him 5-hole. He does it pretty much every time he's in the shootout, and it usually does not work, at least as of late, but it did work on this one. Ended up being the game winner. Dobeš made 3 huge saves, while the post made 1 save at the end there to win it, but 2 saves and a post for Dobeš to end off what was a very impressive night for him. And the Canadians get a much needed second point that puts them back in second in the Atlantic. So a pretty good game overall. I think the biggest things for me is just if you go back and watch this game, watch some of the defensive play, that there's just way too many times where the Montreal Canadiens are failing to get the puck out of their own zone. There are so many opportunities that the Canadians have on the penalty kill too, but honestly, I think we had 1 penalty kill today, and it was the best that we had ever been at getting the puck out of the zone in that entire game. But 5-on-5, there are so many opportunities where the Canadians have the puck in our defensive zone, and then we just give it right back. We give it right back to the defenseman at the point. We give it right back to the guy who's forechecking. And it seems like, especially the Winnipeg Jets were very aggressive forechecking us, and I think that's kind of what caused some of that as well. But that's been an ongoing issue for many games this season, is that the Canadians are just not capable of getting the puck out of the zone in critical situations. Getting the puck out of the zone is the difference between getting scored on or not getting scored on in some of these opportunities here. There are so many opportunities that get caused, by the opposition because we just can't clear the zone. Even if it's just you get an icing or something like that, and you get a whistle, and you can take a breath a little bit. We got to be able to find a way to just chip the puck out, or even better, get a breakout opportunity going. But there's just too many times where we're getting hemmed in our own zone because we can't make a pass. We we try to make it clear and it gets blocked by an opposing player or something like that. And I think that's the difference. That's costing us offensive opportunities. It's giving them offensive opportunities. That's a big difference in the game. And I feel like if we can get just a little bit better at trying to find ways to just clear the puck and get it out of the zone, we'd be in a much better position moving forward. But that's my biggest thing. I think otherwise, this was a huge improvement at what we've seen in the last 2 games for the Canadians, going back to the game against Colorado and Ottawa. Huge improvement. I think there's still definitely some improvement that can be made. I think that we can definitely play better. And as I said in the last game, there's the best is still yet to come for the Canadians. I think once they put all the pieces together and get some of their key guys back, I think we're going to find that new level. But a great improvement. I think a great effort overall. We were down twice in this game and came back to win it, which is a huge difference between how we've been playing recently, with just getting down on ourselves and not wanting to fight anymore. Arbor Jack had gotten a fight to stand up for his guy. I think that was something that we were lacking a little bit in our game the other day. So I definitely a big improvement over what we've seen in the past couple games for the Canadians here. So this is a game that we got to remember. Obviously, there's mistakes to be fixed and all that kind of stuff. But if we can continue to play with that kind of intensity and that kind of grit and will to find the next goal and get back into a game, then I think we're going to be set up for success long term. So that's all I got for you guys today. We got a game coming up on Saturday, I believe. We are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto, so that should be a really entertaining one. Maple Leafs obviously having their struggles as well this season, so it'll be very entertaining to see how that game goes. I think they're kind of turning the corner a little bit in terms of their overall success, but every game against the Leafs is a big game. Every game that we can play our oldest rival or whatever, we got to show up. So it'll be a great game to silence the already very quiet Toronto crowd and get ourselves our 15th win of the season. So yeah, but that's all remains to be seen. So that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you guys for a big game on Saturday.